Drop it on the random.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of That Time in Hip Hop, a podcast about history and nostalgia in hip hop, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. With me, as always, the homie Tony of IntoTheDome.com. What's good, bro?
Hey man, I'm good, man. I'm drinking some water, man, cause Saturday I'm doing a beer and chicken event here at the house, man. So I'll be drinking a lot on Saturday. So man, I need to damn drink water and shit all the way to Saturday. So,
Right, right,
but
right.
outside of that, man, everything else is going right, bro.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And if you are here for the very first time and wondering, yeah, I like what I'm seeing, but what is the show about? Again, we about preserving and giving out flowers, man, without being prompted to do so. On That Time in Hip Hop, we got over 60 episodes already in the can in which you can check out. They never get old, right? Because it's about history. So they can carry on and on and on. And this episode will be no different. So if you like this show or this episode, subscribe to the channel for more content. Visit intothedome.com to check out some articles written by the homie Tony. Because we got content for days, man, and that time in hip hop is just one part of that equation. Um, and if you don't have time to watch videos, maybe you want to do the audio version. You can also do the audio version because it's available wherever you listen to podcasts, and the link is in the description of this episode. Now, we're going to get into something we like to do called This Month in Hip Hop. And in this month in hip hop history, June 25th, 1996, Jay Z released his debut album, and based off a recent interview, his favorite album, Reasonable Doubt. Tone 1996. We done talked about that year being bananas. But the first time you heard Jay Z and Reasonable Doubt, what was your thoughts on that?
Well, I was anticipating reasonable doubt because I was at UNCG and A&T in Greensboro, so Ski Beats, who did Dead Presidents and several filling in several songs on Reasonable Doubt, is from the crib. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
From Greensboro, and I heard about Original Flavor. I heard Can I Get Over, and I heard also In My Lifetime and In My Lifetime remix. So I was like, yeah, dude can rap. You know what I'm saying? So then I had like a clue tape or something and heard Can I Live, I Believe. And I was like, and Dead Presidents, of course. And I was like, yeah, this dude, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's sick with it, so I can't wait to hear the album. I went to a spot called School Kids record store right across the street from the school. They used to get all my money, bro. And went in I went to get Nas It Was Written. Um and I want to say maybe Tribes, Beats, Rhymes, I want to get a few albums that I had finally saved enough money to get because Summer '96 was
Mm-hmm.
great. And I was like,
Right.
damn, that's that reasonable, that's that Jay Z. I bought the CD, I put that joint on my Walkman, you know what I'm saying, and walked back to campus, right across the street to campus, and walked around for a few, and I was just skimming, skimming. You just want to get a feel. And I'm like, damn, every song, I listen like 45 seconds of every song. And I'm like, damn, every song is dope. You know what I'm saying? So when I
Mm-hmm.
came back to the dorm room, who was in summer school that year, a couple of cats came down to the room. We ran that joint straight through. And I was like, dog, I think we got something special right here, man. Like, this cat is going to blow. He's going to blow. You know what I'm saying? And I just, the rhyming, man, was top notch. The flow was top notch. The beats was insane. Primo, Ski Beats, Jazzo, you know what I'm saying? Just, it was Clark Kent, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it was everything that I wanted in a hip hop album during a year like 1996. By the summer, it was already quite a few amazing albums out, and we knew that the fall and the winter was gonna see the same thing, amazing albums, man. And I think that Jay Z was right there in the mix with what I think
Mm-hmm.
the classic. You know what I'm saying? I think it ranks personally for me is Jay Z's best album to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad if somebody think the Blueprint is better. I don't. I've even heard some people say the Black Album is better. I definitely don't, because there is
Yeah.
no what's that justify my thug shit on reasonable doubt. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
Or them change clothes and go for that matter. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, to me it's his best album. I think it ranks probably as one of the top 25 greatest albums in the history of hip hop, which people gotta understand, to be in the top 25 in a culture that's damn 50 years old is amazing. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, man, what's your thoughts, man? I know you from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sure that sense of pride when a Brooklyn MC come out the gate with a debut like this, man. You've been in
Yeah.
North Carolina. We appreciate it down here in North Carolina, man. But what about you guys up there?
Yeah, that when this came out in June of '96, that's when I was still a business major, and I was home for the summer, and I had a job like a block away from the World Trade Center with Chase Manhattan. Just like just a little, them early business major jobs where you ain't really doing shit, right? You suit and tied up, but they handing you some paperwork and stuff like that. But it was some good money for me at that point in time. And I just remember like I was always going to the record store because the record store was like across the street from Chase Manhattan. And I remember like it was coming out, and Reasonable Doubt, like you said, Beats, Rhymes, and Life. And I remember with Reasonable Doubt, I was anticipating Jay-Z, but I wasn't sure, right? Because it was like we never had an album from this dude. I know the records I heard were dope, but I was like, damn, but what's an album? And then I saw some of the features on there, like Mary J. Blige and Biggie and all of that, and I was just like, yo, this shit might be crazy. I just remember that's when I had the CD Walkman, putting that joint in there. I had a lot of time on my lunch break, and I was just initially I was unimpressed with the beats, only because of, like you said, in '96 the bar was raised when it came to lyricism and production, and there was a certain sound, especially when it came to boom bap, that that I felt like I was used to, that I anticipated, especially if you was from New York. But Jay-Z's beats were different in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? To me, I describe it nowadays more as like they were more sophisticated than I expected, right? Which kind of matched the cover, kind of matched his vibe and flow. And I think that's what made me appreciate it more. Like, yo, it's different. Like that's a plus. You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be a distraction. So I picked this joint up, my original CD that I picked up right there in
Ah,
Manhattan. And for those of you who don't know, when we say original CD, all you got to do, if you can see it, is look
yep.
at the labels: Priority Records, Freeze Records, and Rockefeller Records. No Def Jam, and the actual CD looked like that. You know what I'm saying? With the little gun on the ground or whatever. But yeah, man, I was impressed by it, and I was impressed by Jay-Z because I just didn't expect anybody like him. There wasn't nobody really rapping like him. He was
No.
nice, and he was coming from a different standpoint. Like he wasn't even coming from just a regular street thug like everybody else was, that was hardcore hip hop on the East Coast. He was more of a stringer bell, right? Like, yeah, I'm not just selling drugs to be shooting up and fighting with dudes over corners. I'm trying to own businesses. And like, I always think about that line: while you thumb through the source, I read the Rob report. And I remember I was like, I don't even know what the fuck the Rob report is. I had to go look it up. You know what I'm saying? But that's the type of time Jay-Z was on, man. But yeah, I agree. For me, is my favorite Jay-Z album. I think it's his best album, because I think even for me, who wasn't blown away by the beats on the initial listen, it got way better with time. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of albums, like you said, the Black Album did not age well at all, and a lot of people consider that one of Jay-Z's best. And Reasonable Doubt is great. All right, Tone. Your favorite song on the album, if you had to just pick one, what would it be?
The Evils.
Mm. And why you pick that one?
Well, the wordplay, his wordplay
Mm.
was sick. The double meanings behind the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay was that's a super lyrical song. And I'm a writer, so I like lyrics. And Primo just totally destroyed the beat. Uh I think he had that Snoop Dogg sample in it also. And yeah, it was a
Mm.
monster beat. It's a monster beat, monster lyrics, double entendres all through it. I mean, just the concept behind the evils, man. I think anybody can appreciate it, and also show that him being ex dope boy, understanding, what I'm saying, that's the life, and understanding that it's evil. That lifestyle can be looked at as evil compared to what how our parents and grandparents raised us. You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
streets, you know what I'm saying? So you're dealing with the devil in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the precursor to when he did Lucifer.
Mm.
Later in his career with the Black Album. So yeah, man, that just the concept. Yeah, it was a monster song, bro. What about you?
For me, it's politics as usual. I I don't know how or what. I think it's just over time. You know how when it's a great album, you go through your favorites. Because my favorite was probably like Brooklyn's Finest at one point, and then it went to Can I Live?
Yeah,
Um,
and
but
also
you know what I'm saying. But I think it's something about politics as usual that I like a lot because I like the beat and I like the way Jay Z flows over that joint. I like what he's saying, and I felt like only he could do that with that track. Like he really made that track sound lavish and lush, like he was lush, like he was, giving you some real gems, some advice on, whatever it might be, the drug game or business or whatever. And I always just loved the way he flowed over that record. And every time it comes on, like again, we like the whole album, but it's just something about that record that I really get into the lyrics when I'm rapping to it, like
yeah,
really get into it. So yeah, for me it's definitely politics as usual. But for those who are watching, maybe you came across Jay-Z during the Blueprint time, or the Black Album, or maybe Magna Carta Holy Grail, and Reasonable Doubt is his first album. You always hear about it, but you always wonder why and blah blah blah. And it doesn't sound better than this. With the beats aren't better. It was something that Cats just wasn't making back then. You know what I'm saying? Cats wasn't really approaching the music in the way he was. Now, of course, there's some boom bap shit on here, and there's bars and all that good stuff, and beats you would recognize. But songs like "Can I Live," that is just unique to Jay Z and his persona, and I think it kind of set the tone for who he is, especially now when you look at him and he's a billionaire as a businessman. It's a lot of prophecies in this
yeah,
album. You know what I'm saying?
it
And
was.
that kind of makes it worth it. So check that album out if you haven't. Listen to it again if it's been a while. Leave your stories about the first time you heard the album and your thoughts and whether you think it's Jay Z's best album. Jay Z said he goes back and forth between Blueprint and Reasonable Doubt, but he really leaned more towards Reasonable Doubt in this interview where he mentioned his best album or his favorite
Yeah,
album. Uh, but let's get into the topic at hand, man. And this is a perfect topic for this show. The only type of topic that this show would do because that's what we do, right? We don't really go for what everybody else is doing. We analyze hip hop and say, you know what? That's a time in hip hop that needs to be talked about. So, Tone, tell the people what we're here to talk about.
man. You know what? When I saw the rundown, I just smiled, man, because I'm like, you know what? I haven't heard anyone on 100 different podcasts talk about something this important. And today we're gonna talk about Arsenio Hall. man, that time in hip hop, when Arsenio Hall pretty much led the charge, man, to expose hip hop, to the mainstream on a whole different level. From this dude has a late night talk show. You know what I'm saying? And he used that platform. Yes, it was designated really for a more urban, audience, but it crossed over. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
Arsenio Hall crossed over to a lot of different living rooms, but at the same time, Arsenio Hall shared hip hop, with late night viewers. You know what I'm saying? We hadn't had that before because, yeah, we had MTV, we had VH1, we even had BET. You know what I'm saying? But there still was a limit to the amount of hip hop that was gonna really be exposed, man. And
Right.
again, Arsenio Hall was able to show hip hop from that Johnny Carson type perspective. Those late night shows had different musical guests, and we weren't always guests on those shows. Especially, every now and then you might see a Run DMC or even early on a Sugar Hill Gang doing Rapper's Delight. You know what I mean? But you
Right.
wouldn't see Dr. Dre and Snoop. You know what I'm saying? On some of those late night shows, they would have stayed. They'd have ran away. Those shows would have the producer would have ran away from Dr. Dre and Snoop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the fact that Arsenio Hall, and I'm sure he had to go to the producers and directors, and I'm sure he had to like politic for us as well. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff behind the scenes. You just assume that the producer said, "Hey, we're gonna get Dre and Snoop on here." I'm sure that Arsenio Hall sat in those boardrooms before and said, "Hey, man, just want to remember now we want to make sure a certain audience get to enjoy the musical guest and things of that nature too." So I'm sure that he had to,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard him talk about it a whole lot, and I'm going to look that up at some point, man. But what he did from 1989, man, to 1994, you got like a 5.5, 6 year time span where, man, he had us on late night TV, bro. You know what I'm
He
saying?
sure did.
And he loved hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And he
Right.
always been excited when he interviewed hip hop artists that we'll get into in a few. When he had them up performing, when we get to some of the
Mm-hmm.
performances in a few, there was even some performances that I wouldn't even expect it. When I look back at some of those performances, I'm like, oh, he had that person on doing that song. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was pretty amazing, man. When we think about that 6 year span, man, and what he means to the culture. And Arsenio Hall is hip hop. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like we have to give him his props and his flowers because he is a big figure in the culture. We talking about exposing us for 6 years on late night talk TV.
Right.
Man, what's your thoughts on just on? We'll get into some details, but what's some of your initial thoughts on Arsenio Hall and hip hop?
I agree, man. That was a time in hip hop, man, where people have to understand like our our chances to get to see some of our favorite hip hop artists was slim. You know what I'm saying? And seldom was there a destination. I mean, there were some, right? There's Rap City and there's Yo MTV Raps,
Right.
um, but you still were limited in your exposure to hip hop, especially the hip hop you really wanted to hear. And Arsenio Hall like had me ready every time, because like Tone said, it's not like it was just Hammer or it was just Vanilla Ice or just Run
Right.
DMC or the acts that sold the most. I mean, he had Gangstar, he had early Wu Tang, he had Tribe on there, Heavy D on there, and you could see that the goal for that show, because in a little context, I guess for anyone who's younger who is really trying to think about what the Arsenio Hall Show was. Really, really quick, late night talk shows, even till now, but especially back in the days, were huge.
Huge.
They were a thing. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't matter if you were black or white. Most of America watched it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter. And and if one of Richard Pryor was up there, we'd be happy. Or such was up there, we'd be happy. But it wasn't a platform designed for us. Arsenio Hall show was designed for us, where everything about it was black. A lot of what you see now, when you look at Jimmy Fallon, you look at his band and all of that, like that's Arsenio Hall
Yeah,
influence happening there. When you look at the acts that Jimmy Fallon has on it, the different people, how you feel about Jimmy Fallon and his connection to the youth today? That was Arsenio Hall Show.
absolutely.
And I just remember, man, like, I just remember saying, like, damn, like, I don't want to miss it. You know what I'm saying? Because you miss one night and somebody tell you, yeah, Tupac was on there. And you
Yep,
like, word? And he's not just, they're not just performing and being asked one or two questions about their single. No, Arsenio Hall is invested in the interview. You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? And invested in the performance. So that just made the audience more invested in. Just one other quick thing, I felt like a lot of times we mention, Mr. Magic and Stretch and Bobito and Future Flavors, and
Yeah,
and even in other regions where they had early hip hop programs. But for some reason, we don't mention Arsenio Hall, which is crazy because he probably had the biggest platform with the most eyes to put on these artists. I look, Tone, when the Tribe Called Quest came back out and Phife Dawg had passed away, I didn't know Tribe was that big when I saw the amount of coverage they were getting. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right.
But you go back and you think about Arsenio Hall Show, them Low End Theory, Midnight Marauder albums. They was right up there performing them joints. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, man.
yeah, it was a great time in hip hop, man. And Arsenio Hall definitely was a hip hop head.
And you know what? When you look at his crowd in the live audience was very diverse. But we,
Right,
based on numbers, we still was the minority in the crowd. You know what I'm saying? There were a lot of black people in the crowd, but there were more non-blacks in the crowd, just based off population. So again, that's still the exposure. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, yeah, Hammer performed before, yeah, Vanilla Ice performed before. But in like 1994, Gangsta performed Mass Appeal on Arsenio Hall Show. You know what I'm saying? Black Sheep in '92 performed The Choice Is Yours. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like, I mean, try to perform the scenario. Listen to this. You know what I'm saying? 91, the West Coast All Stars did all the same game.
Mm,
I'm saying on our Arsenio Hall Show. That ain't hip hop. I don't know what is. These aren't radio friendly. Some of these aren't radio friendly songs. You didn't hear that. I didn't hear that on the radio in North Carolina. Now, damn, I didn't hear Mass Appeal on the radio in North Carolina. I had to go to the record store to get you know what I'm saying the code of the street. I mean, what's the album?
oh, hard to earn.
Hard to earn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just show you that again, like to your point, Arsenio Hall was a hip hop head, and just another little thing too. You said something about Tupac being on the show, and so yeah, just thinking about that particular episode, he didn't talk to Tupac for 3 or 4 minutes. He talked to Tupac, wanting to know his story, and then hey, we'll be right back with more Tupac. And they go to a commercial, they come back, Pac's still sitting there. You know what I'm saying? That's how he did all his hip hop interviews. He allowed the artist to speak, to talk, not to some cookie cutter questions, and he's done. Some of them will talk and then perform on the same show. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, I mean, how much more exposure do you want? You know, he performed the real Compton G's on there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
he interviewed NWA when Cube was going. He interviewed NWA for like 10, 15 minutes. You
Mm,
know, on one of the episodes. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I don't recall Arsenio Hall ever been on the front of the Source magazine, but why not?
right. Right.
But why not? You know what I'm saying? I don't recall him ever being on the front. Maybe he was and I missed that edition. But Arsenio Hall at some point should have been on the front of the Source, the Double XL,
Mm-hmm.
Blaze, all of those back in the day because he was hip hop.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look back at that time, and I guess what people have to understand is when you look at hip hop today, it's everywhere. I mean, you can't miss it. I mean, the only thing you digging for right now is maybe something more traditional sounding. But in a lot of ways, that's not hard to find, right? Um, but people have to understand back then, even with having the Source magazine, even with having Arsenio Hall and underground radio shows, it still was kind of like a search thing for us, right? Like we still had to watch a video show and hope like, damn, I hope they play Mass Appeal next. You know what I'm saying? Or I hope they play. You know, I used to be like this all the time. Man, I hope they play Ain't No Half Stepping.
Because think about this. Think about
Mhm.
this. When Arsenio Hall Show came out, hip hop wasn't all the way mainstream yet. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You talking about
Exactly.
1989. So you talking about this is during the golden era of Rakim, KRS-One, Slick Rick, and everyone like that. So Arsenio Hall was came out years before, Biggie, Nas, Jay-Z, all these guys. They weren't nowhere to be found in 1989. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul wasn't even out yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Brand New wasn't even out yet. So we still in the golden era when this show started. So yeah, he did have your Hammers and Vanilla Ice and all that. But I was thinking about this too. Arsenio Hall would do something like he would have LL Cool J perform Around the Way Girl on there, but then he would have Pete Rock and CL Smooth perform Troy. You know what I'm saying? They performed Troy on
Right.
Arsenio Hall show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Busta Rhymes went off on a scenario. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? On this show. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really amazing when you think about it. When I started back, I watched a few videos today, Arsenio Hall show, and I was like, wow, man, this dude really repped the culture, and it's for some reason overlooked.
Yeah, it's kind of I think it's just I think a lot of people from our time just forgot, right? Because my man, shout out to Jay, sent me the last show where he did the big cipher with all the hip hop artists and stuff, had all the rappers on it, and he was my man was like, yo. I forgot about this. This was crazy to have because it wasn't like he just had East Coast rappers in this cipher. It was everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody.
Everybody was in it. Anytime you watching a cipher and you see Yo-Yo rapping and then Guru rap after that, you already know. Okay, this is hip hop. This is
So let me let
everybody.
me let me name for the people real quick.
Yeah,
During
give the
that
people the
during
names.
that last episode, Yo Yo Rap, then MC Light, then Trench from Naughty by Nature, then
Mm,
Tribe Called Quest, then the Few Snickers, then CL Smooth, then
mm,
Guru, then the Wu Tang, then KRS-One freestyle literally on, out there about Arsenio and about whatever, like he always
wow.
does. And then Mad Lion finish it off. So I mean, you talking about a very eclectic group of people from the that's East, West, all kind of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
that's what he did, man. You got Guru on stage, man, with Wu Tang. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
KRS-One. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. And again, like I said earlier, a couple of years before that, you had the West Coast All Star Gang doing that song.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's just he covered all bases, man, and it's a long list of guests that was on there, whether it was performing or doing interviews with Ice T and Dr. Dre, and he gave everyone
Hmm.
a chance to shine, man, and it's just unprecedented when you think about the time. Nobody else at that time had that kind of platform.
No, no, and even had the pedigree to continue to do that and watch it work. You know what I'm saying? And for a lot of people, we gave the Jimmy Fallon situation to let you know, like that's not what late night talk shows were, right? They didn't have the roots as they been. That's our Arsenio Hall influence. When you look at just rappers appearing like on these shows regardless of how big they are or whatever, um you just didn't see that until Arsenio did it. um
You, you know
even
what?
even even when you think of, I don't know, when he the thing is he had so many influences, like you said. The final broadcast of the Arsenio Hall show includes what is essentially a cipher way before BET decided to make it
Yep.
fashionable to do so. And it wasn't like, oh, let's get my artist who I want to sell up here. Like, that's a range of people, right? Wu Tang that's early Wu Tang. That's early Wu Tang on the show. right? They
Yeah.
basically rookies in this cipher. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that's a year
saying?
after. That's a year after 36 Chambers. Just a year later.
Right, right. So it's kind of like, they the new kids on the block, and then you got KRS One, and I think the issue with people remembering is because Arsenio Hall did so much that I think sometimes people forget about the talk show host Arsenio Hall, as opposed to the comedian or the actor or the guy that was Simi and Coming to America. You know what I'm saying? He kind of gets remembered more so for that stuff, or being Eddie Murphy's friend, or whatever way you
Yeah.
slice it. But if you go back to YouTube, and there's plenty of videos, some of them was playing in the background. Think about the time and look at the time and the dates on some of these songs and when some of these artists came out, and when they were in their prime. And like Tone said, rap was not this ain't the shiny suit era where the
No.
money, where the bag came, like for almost anybody who would make that kind of music. This is like the true school, that 90s hip hop that you hear the
Yeah.
90s heads always talking about. So I think there's a lot. Now, Tone, what do you think? Oh, well, I think there's a lot that Arsenio Hall influenced in today's television and music and how they approach hip hop. But Tone, what do you think about one, when Arsenio came back to the fold, and he kind of did the same thing, even though hip hop was already big. But what do you think about that time when he came back, and you look at him kind of, I guess, upgrading the formula, but keeping it true?
Oh man, I was excited, man. Cause again, I like Arsenio Hall, bro. You know what I'm saying? I liked him back then. I liked him in the movies, the stand-ups, and everything he did. I thought he was a clever guy, funny, good personality, man. So, and I felt like he was pretty genuine with the way he viewed the hip hop culture and rap music. So when I found out he was coming back on, I was excited because again,
Mm,
once again, he put MCs back on there again. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
he never shied away from, like, he didn't think, okay, I'm large now, or I'm larger or whatever the case may be, or I must kind of shy away from my original formula of an artist on the show and stuff. He did the exact same thing, interviewed, performed, everything. I was just mad it didn't last longer. I was mad the viewership
right.
didn't sustain the way I felt like it should have, man. I feel like we let Arsenio Hall down. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the culture let him down because he deserves to still be on TV right now. If Jimmy Fallon on TV, Arsenio Hall should be on TV.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way, because even though I didn't catch every episode, just skimming by and looking at the hip hop guests on the newer version of Arsenio Hall show, it was like you said, well, damn, he's doing the same thing, but it's upgraded. It's not like he calling all those old cats to come back on and regurgitate what, or try to reignite what he did back in the days. No, he had Mac Miller on there. He had YG. He had Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
He was plugged in, and I don't know if that's him just being into music, which I think it is, and hip hop, or he just knows what he should be doing, and he's been hip hop's biggest supporter, who doesn't always get the credit he deserves. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know what? I think sometimes we don't give credit to people because they don't look hip hop. Also,
Right,
in the hall, 9 times out of 10, when you saw him, he had a suit on. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
you really equate suits and stuff like that, with hip hop, and again, like you said, because he had such a big comedy and acting career, you kind of overlook him being a hip hop head. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm,
believe if I sat down one on one with him and threw some stuff out there, he probably could tell you a lot more stuff than you think he know about hip hop. I
right.
believe he really did like a Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul. And I believe he really liked hip hop. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And of course, he liked other genre of music because his age. I'm sure he liked all the '80s rock and stuff like we like.
Right.
But I honestly, I could be wrong, but I honestly believe that he had a little hand in his guests and what he liked to listen to. I think he interviewed people he liked also. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I think some of the people who performed, I believe he enjoyed them as artists. So yeah, man. I mean, he might not fit the bill, the look of hip hop or or a lot of the slang and lingo and all of that stuff. But you know what I'm saying, his contribution, man, should definitely be, you know what I'm saying. I think we need to, we're gonna definitely push this show, and I want to talk about Arsenio at some point on Twitter a little bit too, just to engage with some people, based on this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Mhm.
believe a lot of people don't look at Arsenio Hall the way we're talking about him.
Right, right,
And
and
I like to get some feedback on that.
yeah, and look, it's like you said, man. It's kind of a shame, but nevertheless, his contribution to hip hop, as far as the exposure of hip hop to a national audience, to an audience that may not have been up on like the artists that we know, right, and even to younger kids from areas that aren't from where we're from, seeing a Tribe Called Quest or Gangstar do mass appeal for the first time, and you don't, and imagine not knowing who Gangstar is, right? You know who Arsenio Hall is, and now he's exposing you to music or exposing you to the genre to the point where now maybe you're a hip hop head today because of Arsenio Hall, because you saw
Yeah,
Wu
yeah,
Tang
his
perform
influence
on
is
it.
there.
Yeah, so it's interesting how it doesn't how he doesn't get recognized as much. I think if you told people from back then, they would recognize it and say, "Oh yeah, Arsenio had everybody on." But I don't think it's the first thing in their head when they think of Arsenio Hall, like you said, because there's the comedic background and the relationship with Eddie Murphy and the films and this, and even just the other things he did on his show that had nothing to do with hip hop.
Yeah, because you
Um,
gotta remember, he's had people like Michael Jackson and Prince, and like you said, Eddie Murphy being his friend, and Madonna, and all these
right,
mega stars on the show. You know what I'm saying? So yes, it's easy to overlook. Well, damn, he had Dreads from Black Sheep on there performing. The choice is yours. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
you know,
right. And look, Arsenio loved the party, so if he in the
yeah,
club and it's the '90s and the choice is yours is on, he might be thinking, okay, it was this. I'm looking at like a DJ, right? Looking at the crowd going crazy. They jump in when he says pick it up. We need to get these cats on here. I'm almost positive. I remember him telling a story about one of the groups. It might have been Naughty by Nature or somebody where that was his experience. But that's a man who kind of lived and breathed what he did. And like Tone said, you could tell he's a music fan and a big supporter of hip hop. So definitely, man, give Arsenio Hall his flowers, you know what I'm
mm,
saying, as it relates to hip hop. I know there are people out there who learned about hip hop or learned about artists who became your favorite or a song that became your favorite because maybe you saw it on Arsenio. For me and Tone, it's more so like it reinforced the hip hop head we already were because now we got to see him. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like Tone said, imagine being somewhere where they're not playing Mass Appeal on the radio. You a hip hop head, but maybe you never heard it because where you live, they like we not playing that.
right,
But then he gets exposed to it, and he's like, "Oh shit, let me get myself to the to the record store and get that."
yeah,
Man, that's just a dope. It's just a dope situation, and the combination of Arsenio having guys on live, um, the Source magazine kind of being just that, the source, and that synergy, like unintentional synergy that a lot of these different outlets had for us hip hop fans, just made the hype and the era as big as you know it to be because that's all we ever talk about is the '90s, man. It was a
yeah,
dope time in hip hop for sure.
very.
Uh, but leave your comments in the comment section below about Arsenio Hall, the show. Whether you were around or not, man, you can always go back and listen to some of the things we said. Look at Arsenio in a lot of those videos. Look how he's reacting. He's cheesing and he's rocking on the
Yeah,
sideline while they performing. It doesn't matter who the group is. Um, Leave your comments about how you feel about him and his contribution in hip hop in that regard. Um, but Now we're going to get into the part of the show where we recommend something you should go back and listen to. And my recommendation comes out of the year 1992, Coogee Rap and DJ Polo. This is before it was just Coogee Rap on the cover. It was Coogee Rap and DJ Polo back in them days. In 1992, the album is Live and Let Die. Tone, this is my favorite Coogee Rap and DJ Polo album. This is probably, and I mean, this is almost like blasphemous for me because y'all know how I am with Death Certificate. But this is Death Certificate East for me because Coogee Rap just had so many, like, I just never heard nobody rap stories like that at that time, right? It was like, at that point in time, I was already into the gangster flicks, right? Like Goodfellas and all that shit and the vibe of Godfather. Coogee Rap was that in rap form. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Songs like Ill Street Blues and On the Run, Crime Pays, you know what I'm saying? Like Number One with the Bullet, like songs like that. It was just Coogee Rap was so ahead of his time with his flow and his storytelling, you know what I'm saying? From a perspective of a gangster. And I always look at gangster rap no different from a mafia movie or a gangster flick, right? It's entertainment, and lyrically, Coogee Rap is like Don Corleone when it comes to that mafioso rap. And Live and Let Die was just a fantastic album. Some of my favorite songs on here, again, On the Run, Crime Pays, Number One with a Bullet, Ill Street Blues, Go for Your Guns was another dope one. Fuck You Man was another dope one. It's just a really underappreciated album, but Coogee Rap is underappreciated. We might have to one day do a show on Coogee Rap in general. But just a dope album from Coogee Rap and DJ Polo that for me, especially at that point in time in 1992, like really hit me hard as a hip hop fan and just remained on repeat. I think I got the actual, damn, I really got the actual cassette back here. Hold up. We're going to do this live. I have the actual cassette I bought back in 1992.
Ah, look at that.
Coogee Rap and DJ Polo. Man, I didn't even remember. You would think this joint would be popped or the words smudged, but it is not. Dope
It's
album,
funny you
man.
have that, man. I still, I still got all my tapes in the garage somewhere, man. So it's funny that you still have all your tapes.
Yeah, I was thinking like, wait a minute, is that one of the tapes I still have? But showed up, it was sitting right back there, man. So dope album. Trust me, if you like Coogee Rap and maybe you discovered him now, or maybe 4, 5, 6 was kind of like where you started, go back and listen to Live and Let Die, off out of 1992.
Hey,
DJ,
you know what, Vay?
what's that?
It's funny. So I just pulled up. Live and Let Die got 4.5 stars in All Music,
Mm,
and the Source gave it 4 mics, and Rolling Stones gave it 4 mics
wow.
with
Yeah,
4.
man, it was a really dope album that yeah, I'm not mad at those scores, man. I'm not mad if anybody wants to say, yo, that's a classic, because I feel like that's one of those albums that is somewhat getting forgotten in history. And, it's easy for me because, I was around during that time and it was one of the dope albums I love to still talk about it. But I think enough people need to go back more. It's okay to go back and check out some old stuff that was considered classics, because trust me, you pop this in, you're gonna be like, wait, this was 92, when you hear the way he's spitting on that joint. So Tone, Live and Let Die, 1992, Coogee Rap and DJ Polo. When you heard it, man, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, man. G Rap just kept elevating. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that's probably my favorite G Rap and Polo album also, and maybe my second favorite album uh by G Rap overall. 4, 5, 6 is my personal favorite. It's just
Mm.
it's just a time in my life where I just fell in love with that album. But yeah, this album, man, it's a dope album, man. I'll give it 4.5 stars as well. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even 5, man. I mean, his graphic storytelling just kept getting better. I mean, he first of all, he actually never spit a whack verse. You know what I'm saying? So he was Scorsese and you know what I'm saying, and all these guys who were doing
Right.
those Oscar movies. That's who he was. You know what I'm saying? Mario Puzo, all that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I mean, I love the album, man. I mean, I love everything about it, bro. You know what I'm saying? So anybody who haven't who haven't heard it in a long time and never heard it, you definitely want to check that one out, man. So yeah,
Right.
man. My pick this week, man, is 2012 Kendrick Lamar's second
Mm.
album, Good Kid, Mad City. I know a lot of fans might think that that's his debut album, but Section 8 is his actual debut album, and it's
Right.
not a mixtape. Section 8 is not a mixtape, people. It's an amazing album with some great songs on it. So I was anticipating a follow up, and I'm gonna tell you, he dropped the bomb on Good Kid, Mad City. I felt like that's his Illmatic. That's
Hmm.
that's his Chronic. You know what I'm saying? And for us, we got a chance for him to take us around Compton again. We know NWA did it for us before, but
Mm.
I think that he might have been even more vivid. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a day in the life of a kid in Compton, man, and from going leaving the house, probably picking up something from the store, all the way to damn go run up in somebody's crib and all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's kind of like a concept album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And amazing lyricism. Oh my goodness! It gave you everything from like it gave you MTV song like Swimming Pool
Hmm.
for the white fraternity kids. You know what I'm saying? It gave you Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe for that's a good blend
Hmm.
for all kind of fans like a song like that. But then he got into his lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Sing About Me, Money Trees, look, Black Boy Fly, The Recipe. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
Mm.
looking at some of the songs, man, like Mad City. You know what I'm saying? Then the song Good Kid, he just went crazy on. And then, he had Drake on there for Poetic Justice. He even had MC8 on the Mad City song. So, man, I mean, this dude went crazy on this album. It's 5 mics to me. It got 5 stars in all music. It got like a 91 out of 100 like metric of, you know what I'm saying? And it's just look, I'm looking at these Los Angeles Times, Irish Times, The Guardian. I mean, Pitchfork gave it 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
It's an amazing body of work, man, and it didn't fall off. It gave something for everyone. This kid was amazing. He's not a kid now, but in 2012, a young man just put his heart and soul in this album, man, and I mean, it still holds up as one of the great albums of the last 10 years in hip hop. I would put it one of the top 2 or 3 best albums in the last 10 years, easily.
Mm.
If
Right.
not, your thoughts?
Yeah. I totally agree, man. I can't even argue that because it was an album that I usually don't do this, but as I'm listening to it, I'm like, this might be a classic
Yeah,
because it's just that layered. Like Tone said, man, it's a concept album that's not heavy on the concept, yet the concept is still there, still throughout the album. To have the skits take you through a day in the neighborhood, a la Friday, but a little bit more serious than that, um, along with the music to kind of match and serve as a soundtrack to the overall story that's being told. To have the new school appear on this album as well as the Compton G's from yesteryear
yeah,
like MC8 on joints like Mad City and tweaking a familiar West Coast beat on that record, um, and giving it the Kendrick Lamar flow, you know what I'm saying? And I was just overwhelmed by how dope he was, how dope the music was, how dope the whole project came together, man. It's just you could tell that there was a lot of thought and
yeah,
love and concentration put into every aspect of this album, attention to detail. I remember Dr. Dre saying to Kendrick, This was around. I think this was around the Straight Outta Compton movie situation, but you know, I think Kendrick came on the set, and he's saying what's up to them, and Dr. Dre was like, one thing I love about Kendrick, man, is his attention to detail, and then if you already know if there's somebody who is a perfectionist and is concerned with attention to detail down to the last T, it's Dr. Dre. So that's
Right.
a huge compliment to somebody who kind of came up through that same tree also. And I agree, man. It's definitely a modern day classic. Um, and just one of those albums where as long as hip hop has been going on, you just never heard anything like that before. And that's what makes it dope. That's what makes it a five mic classic to most people. Is that to do it in a time where most hip hop heads feel like it's either trash or it's being regurgitated. Kendrick put out something that was fresh, and he ain't missed yet, which is
Oh,
also remarkable. Yeah, he hasn't missed. Um, but yeah, go out, check out those, whether you streaming or you buying them or downloading them, whatever the case may be. Check out Coogee Rap and DJ Polo's Live and Let Die and Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. Two very dope albums from two different times in hip hop that are worth your listen. That's
yeah.
going to do it for us for this show. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all for coming through, for checking us out. Leave any comments about anything we had to say in the comment section below. We read them. Sometimes we respond to them. We appreciate people who discover the channel and put other people on and comment and stick around. And if you want to check out the audio version, or if you want to check out some articles about some of your favorite hip hop artists or music artists in general, visit intothedome.com. Not only can you check out those great articles written by the homie Tony on that website, but also available there is a link to the video version as well as the audio version of this podcast. On behalf of the homie Tony of intothedome.com, I am Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. Go out and support real hip hop. Peace. And give Arsenio Hall its flowers. Word.
Yep.
Drop it on the random.